everybody, and welcome back to SheetsCon. Hope you all had some fun there in that last hour and got to check out the networking, meet some new people, and also go and say hi to our vendors. So we have one announcement to make, which is that I have the first 3 winners of the swag bags. So Kent H from Sweden, Sarah R. All of the takeaways and the different experiences people are having here at SheetsCon. So really excited now to welcome our next guest presenter, Cleo. And Cleo is a Google developer expert who has been at the very forefront of this no-code or low-code application sort of idea of empowering people who are not traditional developers to be able to build tools to be better at their own jobs. And Cleo's been at the forefront of that with the G Suite tools. So really excited today to have Cleo here to tell us all about that. So in just a moment, I'm going to drop off the feed, and then I'll see you again at the end of Cleo's talk when we'll do a Q&A session. So thanks, folks, and enjoy this session with Cleo. Over to you, Cleo.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ben. Hello, everybody. And thank you, Ben, for that nice handoff and also for organizing this awesome event. Definitely very excited to see the amount of interest in G Suite and Google Sheets. As he said, my name is Cleo. I am a Google developer expert on G Suite. I'm based out of Canada. I lived in Edmonton most of my life and went to the University of over there and got my comp sci degree, came out and had a mix of different positions throughout my career, like software engineer, UI designer, business analyst, and more recently, product manager. And very recently, I have come to Vancouver to take a product manager position here at Plenty of Fish. And it's been an exciting road. My journey with G Suite started with my last employer, ATP Financial. I was fortunate enough to start in that company when they were doing their big G Suite transformation, and I was able to take part in helping people transition out of their old tools into the G Suite environment. And a big part of that was using Google Advocate to solve a lot of the more complicated workflows and problems that people needed a good solution for, and was really excited to see all the things that people were able to spin up using that platform. And so today, which leads me to today's talk, which is a talk about low-code applications as well as low-code applications and how G Suite helps build that, as well as how you can help, you can, as a beginner or a citizen developer, could use something like G Suite for such applications. So I'm going to present my screen, so give me a second here. And let's get this started. As mentioned, I'm going to be covering, what's known as no-code or low-code applications. And today will be more a little bit of a show and tell type thing where I will go through just some of the things you can do with G Suite to solve common business problems. But first, let's get to the why. Like, why do we care about no-code or low-code application? And I always say that, nowadays, everyone can learn to do anything. Like with the internet and all the online resources you're able to get, all the YouTube videos and whatever e-learning platform there is out there, everyone can pretty much pick up something and learn and create something that's useful to them, which is really powerful. Like there's nothing better than something that's tailor-made for you. And when you are involved in building it, it really makes it yours. And there's that sense of accomplishment, not just having a solution that fits your need, but also that just the confidence that you did it and that you helped build something. Like, instead of buying a cake, you go build a cake, go and make a cake, which I tried to do for, again, watch too much YouTube video, think it's good that I can do it, but in the end, not as great as I hope it could be. But at the same time, there was that sense of accomplishment, and also it is what I wanted. And I think that's the key part with this kind of DIY solution to not just something more hobby space like cake, but rather business applications and business solutions. And custom built application is valuable and it saves businesses time. There's been study where custom applications can save up to 7.5 hours a week for an employee. So it's really valuable for businesses, but we don't do that enough because in simple terms, it's just usually a lot of time and resource dedicated involved to building custom made solution. And so it kind of deters businesses from doing a custom built application, especially when it's cases where it's not their core line of business, but something kind of on the side, not like a big chunk of the revenue, but at the same time, it's still work that they need to do to accomplish whatever it is they do in their business. And the problem is they got developers doing their core stuff. They don't have resources to go around in essence. And software development for many years has been a very specialized a service where you need people who are dedicated to knows the programming languages and also IT resources to support those software that gets developed. And so it's just there's never enough to go around. And even if we talk about developing the core line of software, even then people have to outweigh whether to do this or not because they just don't have enough resources to go around, which leaves this whole big space of unserviced business area that ultimately may not be valuable for a big custom build, but at the same time still has value to the business. And I think that's where really the no code / low code space come in. Like in general, these are processes or solutions that can be very right now manual based or just paper based or very simple spreadsheet based process and solutions that could be further improved just to help people do their job better. And honestly, if you could save an employee even 10, 15 minutes time a day on a task that they do every day, it adds up throughout the year. So this is where, no code and low code development is very valuable. And Forrester has kind of listed this low code development platforms as kind of the disruptive technology of 2019. And ultimately, the key to the a low code development platform is to really accelerate the custom built solution development and implementation, and also it gives more power to more sets of people to do this job. And at the end of the day, it's really finding the right use case and the right tool and to do these kind of applications. So you don't want to tackle. We're not asking people to tackle anything too big. We're not saying low code can replace like what a traditional software developer can do with the full stack development and so forth. But there'll be always cases where these tools would be helpful in that doesn't require a lot of resources to build, and especially if it's built by people who already knows the problem well and who understands what needs to be done to create their solution. This ultimately helps expand the group of developers that a business could have. No longer we're separating business users and software engineer. We can say that, with the right tools, this set can overlap, and that business user who generally are just using application built by software engineers can actually build application and solutions to solve their own problems. So speaking of having the right tool for the job, G Suite is truly one of the nice low code / no code application development platform out there, and it's so much more than just a doc or a spreadsheet. The fact that it's very real time, very collaborative, very intuitive interfaces with a lot of add-ons that you can put on makes it really viable to fill that gap that I mentioned, where it's kind of that middle area where you don't want a full custom build, but at the same time you want to automate some stuff to help with your business process better. And the nice thing about G Suite, like I said, is it's all under the Google Cloud umbrella. So not only you get the power of G Suite, you can also add related Google Cloud platform items, and it's really kind of a bit of a Lego block where you can kind of pick and choose between that. And obviously complexity does increase the more you add to it, but that's also the nice thing about having this whole entire platform open to you. Is that you can start as simple as you want and start off with build a small solution and then add on more later in order to refine and make your solution better. And as I mentioned, it's really all about giving accessibility to more users in your company, in your group, whether you're a startup or a big company. Having everybody be able to contribute to building a solution means that you get to that end goal faster. And also, you don't have to do it alone. So generally in the past, business user would have to convey their requirements completely to computing scientists who would have to do the custom building, having business user more involved in that process, and maybe even building some of the other tasks, slowly upgrading them to citizens, which is, help, again, speed up that solution delivery. And this is a very nice diagram from Technico, AGV from Google, who does a lot of talk about using Google Sheets in various interesting ways if you follow the G Suite Twitter box and blogs. So with all that, I want to also do a little show and tell of how we can actually use G Suite to build a custom solution. And being SheetsCon, we're gonna obviously start with the humble spreadsheet. People love them. Sometimes we hate them because they grow too big, but I hope to show you, little tricks and little creative ways of using G Suite and Google Sheets to help you manage data better. And I'm gonna do a theoretical example. So let's say I run gardening shop, and I sell gardening supplies, I sell flowers, but on the side, I decide to also have a bit of custom bouquet business on the side, where I'll build rose bouquet for different people based on custom orders. And let's say and the example here is theoretical, but it actually applies to a lot of the business pharmacy, where it's a matter of taking in some kind of a request, and then we have generally various teams that needs to do something with that request. So there's this workflow to take it from start to finish. When it's not your core line of business, a lot of times these end up just being in emails actually, can you build this for me? Or can you create this bouquet for this customer? Can you deliver this? Or, paper-based, sticky notes getting passed around, and also, using spreadsheets. So we're going to use, obviously, Google Sheets in this demo here, but we're going to do little tricks here and there to make that kind of tracking easier on a spreadsheet so that people who are part of the workflow will have a good visibility on what they need to do. For example, whoever builds the bouquet knows what orders are coming out, and then whoever's delivering needs to know what deliveries are coming up. So with that, I'm gonna first, with the show and tell, I'm gonna start with kind of a more no-code approach, and then I will kind of start leveling up to do a little more coding to automate more and more items. And like I mentioned, this is kind of the beauty of no code and low code development. It's allowing you to be very iterative and very agile, and being able to throw something out really quickly and then iterate on that is very valuable. I'm going to pause for a sec to look at these questions on the chat. Okay, so there's a couple questions about AppMaker. And so, yes, AppMaker, like I mentioned, I started with AppMaker, but unfortunately, recently it has been announced that it is retiring, which is unfortunate, but at the same time, Google has acquired AppSheet, which is a no-code platform to replace it. So with the question of whether AppSheet replaces AppMaker, I think in some use cases you will be able to use Sheet in replacement of AppMaker, and I think it's a matter of trying to adapt to what AppSheet offers versus what AppMaker does. So AppMaker integrates a lot with app scripts and stuff, versus AppSheet is very no code based. And so it's kind of taking that and seeing, you might have to strip some of your existing application logic and so forth and rebuild it in AppSheet in a different manner. And I think, it is a good replacement in terms of what G Suite offers right now for what AppMaker used to fill in the space. And the AppSheet group has been really active in posting tutorials, and I'm sure they'll be continuing to enhance that. And so, yeah, I would say it's currently the best replacement, aside from maybe, using Sheets and Forms, which is a bulk of my show and tell today. But yeah, it'll be a combination, and without going for the full custom build, obviously, which will always be the best, but at the same time, the most costly. So yeah, it's really about reevaluating what you currently have, and making the tweaks you need to move it to the AppSheet environment if you choose that route, or move it to the Google Sheets, Google Form environment if you choose that route. In fact, I had to adjust what I'm showing today because of I used to do this show and tell with more AppMaker based, and then kind of migrating that to more a Sheets/Form solution. As I understand, you cannot import AppMaker projects directly to AppSheet. John has that question, I think, in the chat. So I think you do need to start the projects again, but as I understand, the data kind of flows over. So one of the things I will show is you can still build the data model off Sheets like you did with AppMaker, and as well you can do SQL. Let's see, what other questions? There's a question, if data is located in Sheets with BigQuery, how do you compare AppSheet versus Glide versus Flow versus BettyBlock? I can't say I've used Glide, Bubble, or BettyBlock, so I'm probably not the best person to answer that. AppSheet does read from Sheets, which I will actually show that in a sec. I'm not sure about the integration with BigQuery, but if it's not there, I'm sure it could be requested with the AppSheet team. Okay, with that, let's skip to the demo. So as I mentioned, as a side thing to my business, I am taking in custom requests from a customer who wants a rose bouquet, and basically I will deliver them based on the date specified by the customer. And so with a node code solution, the easiest way to build a UI to create and create a form to capture that request is obviously Google Forms, which ties to a Google Sheet behind the scene, making it very useful to kind of process and track the requests after. So I won't go too deeply into how Google Form works. So for each, you can create, I'm just going to zoom in case people have a smaller screen, but basically you add there is some validation if you want to do that, as well as like hint to error text if you want simple interface very quickly. So what I did here is just really a very simple form to capture the flowers they want to use in their bouquets, and also, you know, what date they required by and so forth. So with this form, I can easily then to whoever is taking the order to help me fill it out and basically take customer orders, track it in the sheet. So with that, once responses starts to come in, you can view the response in sheet to generate the spreadsheet behind, which I've already done. So right off the bat, a very simple UI that people can use to take orders. And this is zoomed in quite a bit just so you could actually see the words. As you can see, it, you know, whenever I submit an entry, it will add all the user input into this. So now what do I do with this? So now I got a list of orders. I need, you know, as the manager, I need a way to start tracking the work, you know, who's building the bouquets, who is going to deliver it, and so forth, and be able to track the order as it goes from start to finish. So with the Google Sheets behind, I always like to add like extra columns on the side in order for me to track what's going on. And so I like to add like status column and with the status column and with data validation on the cells itself, I could kind of say, you know, these are kind of the valid status I want. I don't want anyone adding, you know, statuses that doesn't make sense. So this makes it easy for me to just change the status on each of the order. And then depending on your workflow, then you add more columns based on what you need. So for example, I know I need to assign this to one of my florists. I need to assign this to one of my delivery person when it's ready for delivery. So I've added names to that and columns to that. So when a new order comes in, I could just start assigning this information as needed. So here I have a new order, properly assign it to someone, and then put it in progress. Another nice thing about using this and customizing it to be really friendly is, for example, these drop downs. As you saw in this one, it was just a static list of statuses. It doesn't change. It has in progress, ready for delivery, on delivery, and delivered. That's kind of the workflow I've set for my process. But, you know, in terms of something like the florist, you know, my employees can change all the time. So I don't want to necessarily hard code that. So again, the trick is to, with the same data validation, but instead of coding it to a specific list of items, I can code it to a range, which I set up a different tab on my spreadsheet in order to kind of capture my list of florists and my delivery drivers, and I can add names to this. I can delete names from this, and it will immediately reflect on the front sheet here. So little customization tricks to just, you know, make my job easier. You know, I don't have to remember and type everybody's name, and yeah, like I can just come in and now it's an update of this. And so it's, again, no coding required, just little tricks here and there to using different ranges, different tabs in order to create the views I want. So with this, I can work with this. I can see using the status where my order is at. I can also then, obviously add the filter control on the column header itself to filter the view, which is also nice if I only want to see things in progress. However, I may want a little more dedicated view than that, than just filtering off the rows. So I could do things like build a custom view on a separate tab. With this, what I did is I used a query function, which queries this whole table. And so, for example, Janet Toe could call me tomorrow and say, where is my order? What is the status of my order? I could create this custom view. It's a little blown up, but basically, let's zoom out this slightly. I can create, a little search screen for myself where I can say, Janet, and see what she has in progress or ready for delivery. In this case, I don't have anything again. Sorry about that example. Let's pick Jim instead. So let's say Jim called and said, oh, where's my order at? And I can say, hey, Jim, and find him for order of any status, and then you can see the query did its job and showed me all the orders I have on the other screen that has that's tied to this customer. And again, just a view that I may find useful to answer customer inquiry. And what I did here is basically build a query that takes the input I've just entered in cells B1 and B2, and basically say, find me any orders that are with that name and status selected, and I can then query show only the results there, and I even transpose the results so it's not a big horizontal line; it's a nice vertical layout that I can easily review. Things like this, I can even build a view that's like a print view, maybe format it in a way that prints nicely on the paper if I have to print out something. And so with this, we started to, evolve and, think about what are my use cases? How do I want to see the data? Because ultimately, with working with spreadsheet and, working with business process is how you work with the data and how you see the data, and also getting the data that's relevant to you for whatever task it is in throughout your process. And with something like, simple formulas, it's easy to build something like this that, suits your needs, and then you can use it, work it, and say, oh, this is working or this is not, and then change it and iterate as you go through. So maybe, I need a date range search instead, where my query has to take into account which date the order came in by. So things like that, as I work through the process and work this and try this with other customers, then his insights that I know, then I can react to and respond to as needed. And the nice thing about this as well is the fact that you could share this with all the employees. You could give certain access to certain people only, and also you can even lock down like particular cells or sheets. So for example, maybe I want my customers who's handling customer phone calls to have access to this full edit view access, but maybe I want to restrict them from editing this actual core data sheet. So that's another thing that G Suite really buys you, is all the security features and shared features that you can take advantage of. Okay, so this is simple. I take a request and so forth. So let's step it up further in the process. So as the side of this, I have to keep an inventory of flowers, let's say, to know that whether I have whether I have enough supplies to actually build all of these bouquets that people are ordering. So with that, I could just spin up another spreadsheet and post that on, enter inventory order. So let's say whoever orders flowers will use this form in order to say I've ordered this and this is how much I ordered. And similar to the other sheet, now we have similar to the other form. Now we have a sheet that creates this data sheet of how much order I've taken in and how many of each of the flowers I have. So this is another nice thing, but now it's two spreadsheets to track. So let's make that easier. With the nice thing of Google Sheets, you could import from Sheets. So the import range allows you to do that. So if I was the manager, I came here, I looked at my orders, and I may be curious to know, can I actually fulfill these orders? Well, instead of trying to open that sheet where the inventory is, I can create yet another tab in my spreadsheet to import the data I need from there, which is the big grid here. And I transpose it so that's a vertical listed on rows instead of in columns. And with that, for free, I get all the numbers from that sheet. And whenever that sheet updates, and whenever you type the form and enter a new entry, it will update the numbers here as well. Again, things you get for free by using G Suite, that real-time responsiveness to everything and not having to worry about things being out of date. So that gives me the insight on my inventory based on a completely different spreadsheet. Then what I want to do is, well, in that case, then I want to know how many I've used based on my list of requests, because I know how many bouquets I'd be selling based on this sheet, and how many have been delivered, which is under the used column, and how many I need to fulfill orders that are in progress. So what I've done is run two queries using the query formula again to sum up all the orders that has been delivered. So I know I've used those, as well as any outstanding orders that I have not fulfilled that I would need to get from inventory. And doing some math now, then basically this minus this minus this, I know exactly how many I have left in inventory. And using things like conditional formatting, I can kind of highlight things where I am really low in stock for. Like, I only have 3 blue roses left. If someone ever orders a 12 blue roses bouquet, I will be out. And these are really good indicators for me to just be able to glance right here without going to the 2 different sheets and doing the math myself. So now I have a little more integrative solution, and again, not really spending any time to write any code, just a bunch of formulas that I have set up for myself. Finally, if I want a more graphical representation of this as a manager of trying to understand what's going on, I can use Data Studio. Again, nice thing, let's bolt in something new. After 2 weeks of using this, I'm like, I need a more graphical representation. I can spin up Data Studio, connect it to the Google Sheets as a data source, and be able to report on things like how many orders I have in progress right now, how many orders is each floor is working on, and how's my monthly sale doing, as well as my inventory. Having a really graphical representation of how my stock is doing, like For example, I'm out of roof. I'm getting low on blue roses. I can see that in the orange with the orange bar. And so now I can even just go here without going to the spreadsheet. And as people submit more things to the Google form, either on the inventory side or the request side, this will update as needed. And I can always have a pulse over what's actually happening in this whole bouquet business that I have. So with these little things, bolting on little tools like Google Forms, Google Sheets, as well as Data Studio, I don't need to invest in a big order management system for my little side business here. And, if I was a GC customer, this all really came for free. So that's really the benefits of, using G Suite creatively to create, actual solutions that helps with your business. And finally, one more step to the no-code solution is the new AppSheet acquisition from Google Cloud, which now, if you're a previous AppMaker customer, you can get AppSheet Pro for here. And app sheets allow you to develop applications that without really any coding at all. It's even more no code than AppMaker was in the past. And so let's say for inventory, it would actually benefit with a mobile friendly website because, I'm probably out in the back room dealing and counting my inventory, and a Google form may not be the best solution. And so I could create an app, and actually one of the benefits of AppSheet is that it is, you could say, a little more mobile friendly UI and controls than what AppMaker used to offer. And so you can also create an app in a very similar manner. So I'll just quickly demonstrate how. So much like AppMaker, you start with a new app. And let's just call it inventory management and choose data. And another nice benefit to AppSheet is that it does connect directly to a spreadsheet. And so I'm going to pick my inventory spreadsheet, which I have here. And let's click that and select. I used to do a similar demo with AppMaker, and it's really quite similar in the sense that it just takes the columns in your spreadsheet and apply it to a data model that it's automatically generated. It detects all the different types of each data column. And also then you can start tailoring whether something's editable, something is required, and so forth. And then on top of that, it also creates a view for you automatically. So based on that spreadsheet, it essentially gave me a view here, which is the order entry, which will allow me to add, edit, and view all the inventory records that I have in the spreadsheet. I can choose the different styles they have right here to kind of tailor more to my needs. And on the side here, I have one that's actually created and deployed that I'm going to show you here. So basically, I just did that. I used a spreadsheet, I created the app, I imported the data, and then I deployed it, which, much like AppMaker, it's really just a single click thing. And I also shared it with an outside account. So this is actually a completely different Google account. And then another benefit to AppSheet is that you can share it outside your domain. And as you can see now, I have this this interface that's different than the spreadsheet one, and it is more mobile friendly. I can use it on the phone, and you can see the controls are a little more friendlier if I want to do like plus or minus, especially on a touchscreen interface. And also, the nice thing is it updates the sheet live. So, for example, if say I made a mistake, my last order I didn't actually get 3 blue roses. I got 9, and I hit save to that. And now coming back to my source of data, my source of truth here, you can see it actually updates, which then updates this interface to show that I have more inventory, and I can still perfectly use this form. And like, this is the nice thing about the whole bolting on different elements of to kind of in the end achieve similar things, maybe just a different UI that could work better for one person versus another. So in this case, if someone had a phone, they can go out and count the inventory better versus someone who's sitting at a desk may like to use the Google form better. And as long as you link it kind of all to the same master data source, it just works, and everything is live and everything is in real time, and you can build this solution piece by piece. I always say it could be, the nice thing is also it could be different people building this. So whoever looks at the dashboard more can play with Data Studio more and learn how to tinker with that versus someone who may be looking at the data source more would be working on the sheet side more. So that's kind of the no code route. And so it's really very built-in capabilities that Google Sheets and Forms already have, but to be able to kind of creatively think of how it best apply to your use case, I think it's the fun part of building these kind of no-code solutions. Now, I only have a few minutes left, but what I want to show them is the next step up, which is the kind of the more low-code side of doing this. And so, for now, I have not written the line of code. Like some of the functions like query on Google Sheets may take a bit of learning to get used to, but generally relatively straightforward and easy to use. With a little bit of code though, like I could actually accelerate this a lot more. So let's say on the request side, I want to set up some emails, notifications, and so forth. So let's go to the script editor. This is where AppScript comes in. And AppScript being a JavaScript-based language is really easy to learn, especially there's so many resources out there for JavaScript and as well as for AppScript, who's been around for over 10 years. So definitely you can find code samples for a lot of things, and which is great because you can just kind of take that information and kind of tweak it to. And so, for example, here, let me zoom in a little bit just so you could see the code a little better. So one of the things I could do is say, hey, on every new order, I want to be alerted by email. And I'm sure you can find, if you Google app scripts and email, you will immediately find like a line of code that can show you how to do that, which is, the send email, which, you specify the email address, the title, and the user and the body of the email to send. So that's, with one line of code, I can set up, this with Google Forms. We can fire this every time that the form submits. To do a trigger, you just go here, current project triggers. And then you go add trigger. You choose the function you want to run. So in my case, I call my function on form submit. On form submit takes in a parameter, which is an event object, which you can find the documentation for on the Google website. And so I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to say select the event type on form submit. I also want, if there's failures, to notify me immediately and hit save, which I think I may have created a duplicate, but that's okay. And so I created a trigger, which will run that. And let me demonstrate, quickly how that works. And so John just wants a single rose in a cylinder, and they need it by tomorrow. Submit. And that has been recorded. Let me check my email to just quickly show that it's sent. New order for John. And it also, in the content, I also added the date, so it's a more meaningful notification tailored to me. Google Forms do, by default, you can set up notification for just getting new entries, but in this manner, I can actually have better messaging that's more meaningful to what I need it to be. Another thing I did here is maybe I set up a delivery schedule. And what I did is, let's use Google Calendar for that, which is also part of G Suite. It's free, and it will give my delivery driver an at-a-glance view of what the deliveries are happening on each day. So with, again, a single line of code, I was able to say, get the calendar, which is the calendar I just create for bouquet delivery, and be able to say, let's create an event that is based on the date that the delivery is expected to go. I selected March 12th. And with the event object, you can always get the data that user entered. And as well as, I want to add the name of the customer in there and a description for the event. And as you can see, it put it up there. It fired twice because I did accidentally put two triggers in. I should probably remove one of that so it won't do it twice. But now, as orders come in, my calendar will start to fill in, and my delivery people can just come in here to see it on the calendar. So 2 lines of code, and I was able to, build a meaningful schedule for my employees, as well as get notification of what's happening. I could start taking this further and do things like, there's 2 functions I wrote here. So one is like automatically assign a florist. So instead of, leaving that florist drop down blank and for me to have to come in here to assign it, I could easily write a script to automate that as well, where I have a pick florist function here, which really just gets the list of employees, which I happen to have set up here earlier because I wanted to set up my drop down. I get that list. In this case, it's nothing intelligent. I randomly selected one person and say, let's pick one random person and then email that particular florist that they have a new order for them, and also it will automatically populate the sheet here with their name on it. So that's kind of one of the automation I could do. Another one I could also do, and I wrote the code here for, is some inventory alerts. So people who have submitted an order, I know my inventory because I built that view earlier when I was in one of my earlier iteration of this application. Let's say, for example, I know, if someone put in, say, an order that needs more than 9 blue roses, I will run out. And so what I can do is write scripts to automate that as well, where, I go look through all the items in my inventory, I figure out what the current order needs, and then if I find anything where I'm missing items, I could then send an email to whoever's managing the inventory to say, we're not gonna have this to fulfill an order. So things like that, that you can automate. The last two example would take a little more code, but at the same time, on us, being known immediately that we're missing particular things to fulfill our order. That is just quite valuable and quite easy to use. And I'm just gonna demonstrate those two codes by quickly putting in another order, which requires more than 9 blue roses. And let me submit that. And just like that, my two script kicked in. So first, I got a florist got automatically assigned to that new order. It was Fiona. And if I go down here, you'll see this cell should be automatically populated. Oh, that's the wrong key. Yeah, there you go. Fiona is now assigned automatically to that. And right now all the email goes to this inbox, but obviously Fiona, if she had her own email address, I would send that email to her instead. As well as, I got the alert that we don't have enough roses to fill out the order. And really simple, but very powerful automation that you can do. And with that, that really demonstrates the fun things you can do with AppScript. All the little components like integrating with Google Calendar. Like you see now, I have that new delivery added as well with Gmail, with Form Sheets, Data Studio, and App Sheet. There's just so many ways to spin this. There's no really one right answer. It's really what works best for what your user needs it to do. And yeah, like there is just a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah.
One last quick demo that I will show is actually I'm almost at time, but one last thing I was going to mention is I mentioned about this G Suite being part of the Google Cloud Platform means you can do things like integrating Google Cloud platform functionality. So one of the demos I've done is with AutoML Table, which is beta tool right now, but basically what it allows you to do is give historical data. Like, for example, I want to predict actually how much flowers I need for my store for the next month. I could actually feed in a new data set based on historical sales that I have, train a model, and be able to then hook that up with AppScript to read that here. So here's a quick little interface that I built, which, is my inventory sheet, same one. And basically I can say I want to enter the year and the months to project how many flowers I need for that month. And I'll put that April. And I can write an app script that would read that AutoML table, which then would kind of give me the prediction of what I need, and you can see the numbers kind of changes immediately here. If you're interested in the big code, feel free to message me and I can show you how this is done. Basically, it just connects to the AutoML API through OAuth and basically call that model in order to do that. So you could even go something so far as to adding ML to a Google Sheet in order to make your life better. And with that, that's the end of my show and tell. Really, the takeaway is, there's so many things you can do. Don't be afraid to try. Just jump in, try, little function features at a time, and then think about how that applies to your work. Be really agile and iterative about this. Don't try to do everything at once, but do little bits at a time, and improve your process a little bit at a time. And there's just a lot of ingredients and sample recipe as in sample codes and how people other use it. But at the end of the day, it's your process. You're the chef. You should build the solution you want, and also collaborate with your team members to arrive at that solution. And that's all I have for this talk.
Cleo.
And
Hi.
hi. Hi,
Thank
Ben.
you so
Welcome
much
back.
for that wonderful talk there. Really enjoyed that. That was fascinating to see some of those solutions and to see AppSheet for the first time. So folks, give a big thank you in the sidebar chat there for Cleo, and definitely go and check out her website and say hi on Twitter. Yeah, thanks very much, Cleo. That was wonderful.
Awesome. Glad to hope that inspires
Yeah,
you
absolutely,
to do
folks. Go and check out some of those solutions. And I'm going to stop the broadcast now, and we'll be live again in a few more minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, with Andy Rudd from the Google Sheets team. He's a project manager on the Google Sheets team, and he's going to give us a sneak peek behind the curtain, a look at how the Google Sheet team operates. So that's going to be a really interesting talk. So thanks again, Cleo, and we'll see you all soon.